Hey, welcome to the English Podcast Lab. I'm Mike, and today we're diving deep into the fascinating world of storytelling with Sarah, a true expert on the subject.
Glad to be here.
Get ready to unlock the secrets of captivating narratives and discover the power of your own voice.
Oh, I love that. I think it's safe to say that stories have an undeniable hold on us.
Yeah.
They shape our understanding of the world, connect us across cultures, and leave a lasting impact on our hearts and minds.
Absolutely. Think about those childhood stories that still stick with you today.
Right.
The ones that sparked your imagination and left you feeling a whole range of emotions. That's the magic of storytelling.
And that magic isn't just for entertainment.
Right.
Stories are powerful tools for communication, persuasion, and even education.
Yeah.
Research shows that information presented through stories is more memorable and impactful than data alone. It's like sneaking vegetables into a delicious smoothie.
Oh, I like that.
You get all the good stuff without even realizing it.
I love that analogy. It makes sense when you think about how stories engage our senses and emotions. It's not just about processing information, it's about experiencing it.
Exactly. When we hear a story, multiple parts of our brain light up.
Okay.
If the story mentions a crackling fire, your visual cortex might fire up. And if there's a description of a delicious aroma, your olfactory cortex might get involved.
Wow.
It's like a full sensory experience that brings the story to life.
So it's not just about understanding the words,
Right.
but actually feeling the story on a deeper level.
Precisely. And as we experience those emotions, our brains release chemicals like cortisol,
Right.
which aids memory formation, dopamine, which keeps us engaged, and oxytocin, the feel-good hormone linked to empathy and connection.
So a well-told story doesn't just inform us, it makes us feel, remember, and connect.
Yes.
And no wonder stories are so effective for teaching, inspiring, and building relationships.
Absolutely, from ancient myths and legends to modern-day marketing campaigns. Stories have always been a powerful tool for shaping our understanding of the world and influencing human behavior.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, what are the secrets to crafting a story that truly captivates?
Yeah.
What are those ingredients that make us lean in,
Right.
eager to hear what happens next?
Well, Mike, there are a few key elements that go into creating a captivating story. Think of it like building a fire.
Okay.
You need the right fuel, the right structure, and a spark to ignite it.
Okay. I'm intrigued. What's the fuel that keeps a story burning bright?
One crucial element is anticipation.
Okay.
You want to pique your audience's curiosity, make them wonder what's going to happen next, and keep them on the edge of their seats.
I can see that it's like those movie trailers that give you just enough glimpses to leave you wanting more.
Exactly. It's about building suspense and drawing your audience in. Think about those classic storytelling phrases like, "But little did they know," or "Just when it seemed all hope was lost."
Oh, yeah.
It's all about creating that sense of anticipation and intrigue.
I remember those moments from books and movies I've enjoyed. You're totally right. It makes you eager to see what happens next.
And then there's the element of surprise.
Okay.
You don't want your story to be predictable. Throw in a few unexpected twists and turns, break those patterns, and introduce elements that keep your audience guessing.
So it's not just about a straight line from beginning to end.
Right.
It's about keeping the audience engaged with those unexpected moments that make the story truly memorable.
Precisely, think of it like adding a dash of spice to a dish.
Okay.
It's that unexpected flavor that awakens your taste buds and makes you crave more.
I love that, Sarah. So we've got anticipation and surprise. What else goes into this recipe for a captivating story?
Well, Mike, just like a good dish needs the right ingredients. A good story needs vivid details. You want to paint a picture in your listener's mind using those sensory details that make the story come alive.
Okay.
Instead of simply saying, "It was a beautiful day," you might say, "The sun was warm on my skin and the birds were singing a cheerful melody in the trees."
I can practically feel the sunshine and hear the birds singing. Those details really make a difference.
They do. It's not just about conveying information, it's about creating an experience for your audience. Think about those moments in a book or movie where you felt like you were right there in the scene. That's the power of vivid descriptions.
I can see that, but there's a balance, right? You don't want to overwhelm your audience with too much detail either.
You're absolutely right, Mike. It's about choosing those key details that enhance the story without bogging it down. It's like adding just the right amount of seasoning to a dish.
Right.
Too much, and it overpowers the flavors too little, and it lacks depth.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And speaking of getting things just right, I think another mistake people make is neglecting to show the emotions in their stories. They might tell us how they felt,
Yes.
but it doesn't always come through in the telling.
Absolutely. Instead of just saying, I was happy, show your audience that happiness. Describe the physical sensations, the expressions, the actions that convey that emotion.
Okay.
Instead of saying, my boss was pleased, you could say, my boss had this massive grin on his face and she gave me a high five so hard my hand stung.
I can practically see your boss's enthusiasm.
Yeah.
It's much more engaging when you bring those emotions to life.
Exactly. It's about painting those emotional pictures with your words and inviting your audience to feel those emotions along with you. And another way to bring your audience in is to make them feel like active participants in the story, not just passive listeners.
So how do you do that? How do you make the audience feel more involved?
You can ask them questions, use inclusive language like we and us, and even create moments of suspense where they're on the edge of their seats wondering what will happen next.
So it's about turning a monologue into a dialogue, a one-way street into a shared experience.
Exactly. And remember, Mike, every story has its peaks and valleys. The climax is that crucial moment when everything comes to a head, where the tension is at its highest and the outcome is uncertain.
Oh yes, the climax is that part of the story we're all waiting for.
Right.
The moment of truth. What makes a climax truly effective?
It's about delivering that aha moment, that sudden realization, that shift in perspective that leaves your audience thinking, wow, I never thought of it that way before. It's the point where the story takes a turn, where the stakes are highest and where the characters face their biggest challenges.
And speaking of endings, I think a lot of people struggle with how to wrap up their stories effectively. What makes for a memorable and impactful conclusion?
You want to leave your audience with something, to ponder a question that lingers in their minds, a call to action that inspires them to take the next step. It's about ending on a high note that reinforces the central message of your story.
That's great advice. So we've covered a lot of ground here, Sarah, from the science behind why stories are so powerful to the essential ingredients of a captivating narrative. I'm already feeling inspired to put these techniques into practice.
Me too. And remember, Mike's storytelling isn't just about crafting a clever tale. It's about sharing a piece of ourselves and connecting with others on a deeper level.
It's about tapping into that universal human experience, those shared emotions and experiences that bind us together. And sometimes those connections happen in the most unexpected ways.
Absolutely. I think sometimes we get so caught up in trying to tell the perfect story that we forget to be ourselves.
Oh, that's such a good point. We can get so focused on polishing our delivery or crafting those clever punchlines that we lose that genuine connection with our audience.
Exactly. When you try too hard to be funny or polished, it comes across as forced and inauthentic. People can sense when you're not being true to yourself, and it creates a barrier between you and your audience.
I think you're right. It's like you're putting on a performance instead of having a conversation. So it's better to embrace those imperfections,
Right.
to let our personalities shine through and to connect with our audience on a more human level.
Absolutely. It's those little quirks, those moments of vulnerability, those unexpected tangents that make our stories unique and memorable. Think about the times you've listened to a speaker who was so polished and perfect that you felt completely disconnected from them.
I know exactly what you mean. It's like they're reading from a script instead of speaking from the heart.
Exactly. So don't be afraid to let your guard down, to share your passions, your struggles, your triumphs, and even your failures. It's those authentic moments that truly resonate with people.
That's so true. And speaking of resonance, one of the most powerful things about stories is their ability to inspire hope and possibility.
Absolutely. Stories have a way of transporting us to other worlds, igniting our imaginations and reminding us that anything is possible. They can show us that even in the face of adversity, there's always hope, and that we have the power to overcome challenges and achieve our dreams.
It's like those stories give us a glimpse into a world where limitations don't exist, where we can be anyone and do anything.
Exactly. And those glimpses can be incredibly powerful, especially when we're facing our own challenges and setbacks. They remind us that we're not alone, that others have been there before, and that we too can find a way forward.
And sometimes all it takes is one story to change someone's perspective, to spark a new idea, or to inspire them to take action.
Absolutely. Never underestimate the power of your stories, no matter how big or small they may seem. Every story has the potential to make a difference, to touch someone's heart, to leave a lasting impact on the world.
That's such an inspiring thought. It makes me realize that we all have a responsibility to share our stories, to listen to the stories of others, and to use the power of storytelling to create positive change in the world.
I completely agree. Storytelling is a gift, and it's a gift that we can all share. So keep practicing, keep experimenting, and keep letting your unique voice shine through.
Well said, Sarah. And to our listeners, we hope this deep dive has inspired you to embrace the power of your own stories and to share them with the world. Until next time, happy storytelling.